So, I've managed to get some pretty good gear at this point in the phase, pretty early on. So, since I haven't been able to do this for the past two phases, I decided that I would do a little bit of a guide. I mean, as much as I can do. I don't really crunch numbers or do any real theory crafting, but I do play the game quite a bit. So I thought I'd just go over the what I've uncovered with Gladiator stance, Protection Warrior, and PvP. Short story, it's pretty fun and relatively good. It doesn't beat Shaman basically ever. Um, I can beat Hunters, which are another pretty potent class right now, melee and melee weave hunters. Um, but yeah, it's a fun spec. It does a lot of work in group PvP because of its stuns, its ability to soak a lot of damage with shield wall, and its utility tools like gag order on shield bash and disarm. Um, but yeah, let's just get into it. So I'm in mostly Sunken Temple gear. The pieces that I think are absolutely necessary in your gear set are obviously hit cap. I have 5% hit, and this is to minimize the amount of RNG problem that you run into with this spec. But yeah, the Wall of Whispers is a really good anti-mage tool to have. I mean, you'll get used to playing with RNG in this build quite a bit, and just getting used to capitalizing on unexpected damage and unexpected player advantage. Like if you get the silence off of the Wall of Whispers, for example, right? Um, but yeah, for itemization, I'd say that crit is probably uh, one of your most important damage stat after strength. Uh, Hit cap is probably most important. Strength just for raw output, and then crit. Uh, so I run sword and board on bracers. You can see these. I don't have great bracers, but I run sword and board on bracers. You could probably get away with wrecking crew too if you want to simplify the build and minimize the amount of RNG management you have to do with your shield slams. I run Furious Thunder, but since you have pretty decent rage generation once you have your multi attack from three piece Wailing Berserker and Cobra Fang Claw or even Thrash Blade, you have pretty decent rage generation, so you can run Consumed by Rage on legs, and it will occasionally proc. Like you'll get it off of a single swing, but I don't use it. I've considered running Precise Timing just to try it out to see if it's better damage, but I like running Focus Rage just because it helps with consistent pressure. Because it knocks Devastate down to 9 rage when you have improved Sunder Armor. So that's pretty much the variance that you get running Prot in PvP. Warbringer is a must-have. You need Devastate for your steady damage, your steady DPS, and Shield Slam, Execute, moves like that, or your Burst. Um, yeah, so uh, in all this gear with all the agility and crit that I have 17%, almost 18% crit chance in Gladiator stance, which is decent. It's almost 1 in 5 hits, so it's pretty often that I do just practically global people with a good shield slam, um, or like two globals, shield slam into execute. Uh, yeah, so I played around with Gladiator stance a little bit. I was originally running anticipation, but the extra 5% chance to block and improved shield block is just really useful mitigation. It's just kind of, I think, outclasses the defense skill pretty significantly because I have a innate 20% chance to block in Gladiator stance. And with shield block active, that bumps it up to a 95% chance, unless there's a scaling or a block cap, if that's a thing in this game. There's really janky stuff like that in Classic. I don't know all of it. I was studying it for a while when I was raiding in regular era, but I kind of gave up on it because I couldn't find consistent information. Uh, but yeah, uh, I dumped most of my talents into uh, the offensive talents in protection, like improved revenge, which you occasionally use. You'll fish for it when you have an opening, right? Iron Will is really important, especially when you're not an orc. If you're an orc, you might be able to get away with not using it, but you might as well just pick it up. Improved Sunder Armor, I think, is really important for pressure. Improved Shield Wall is just useful for, the first engagement at the beginning of a battleground or something. Improved Shield Bash, it's not called Gag Order in this. Improved Shield Bash is really useful. Um, yeah, you obviously get one-handed spec and Shield Slam. Improved Blood Rage is, I think, worthwhile. Getting that 15 rage is kind of nice, especially off of a charge. If you charge Blood Rage, you can open pretty hard on someone. And for the leftover talents, I put 5 points in Cruelty for the crit, and I personally like Deflection. I like the extra parry chance, and improved Heroic Strike. Uh, Bumps me up to 7% parry. Um, just as a side note, Cobra Fang Claw, I think, is probably the best weapon. As you can see, I don't have max or the best enchants. I can't afford them right now, and I don't feel like doing incursions for a full day or two right now. I'll do at some point, but you could probably get away with a Dragon's Cry. I was going pretty decently with this weapon, the 2.4 speed mace from Sunken Temple, but yeah, yeah, that's basically everything. That's the thought process that uh, goes into my build, and my choices like Sword and Board and Furious Thunder. I like to kind of play the RNG game a little bit. I like to kind of, be able to capitalize on openings and, you know, Sword and Board procs, get really good Furious Thunders off to, relieve healers. A good thunderclap to like their main DPS in a team fight or something, for example. But you can go full damage if you go like Wrecking Crew. Where is it? Wrecking Crew and Consumed by Rage. You could probably put out pretty significant damage with it. Uh, you could, if you wanted to go for a more no, never mind. But yeah, that's basically the build. That's what I've put into this so far. Give it a like if you end up enjoying the build, if you try it out for yourself, and share it with your friends. I will do things like this in future patches if I happen to get geared really early on again. I don't think it's worth it that late in the phase because there's just better resources at the time. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed my little guide. Yeah, I'll cut it here.